Hey, what's up guys? Gonna be doing a deck profile on a deck that I actually saw that took second place at a Chicago Regional, and it is a Nurse Burn deck. It was very similar to the one that I actually built a while ago. If you guys want to check that out, mine's a different playstyle. It's got a few different cards, but the basic deck idea is the same. Is get out bad reaction, get out Nurse, and just make your opponent cry. And there's a lot of other cards in here that I think that are really good to mention, so we'll go ahead and jump into them. And there's this card over here, Life Equalizer, which I didn't actually know about. If I knew about this card, I would have definitely played it in my Nurse Burn build, because basically it allows you to one-shot your opponent. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump right into the deck profile, explain the choices as we go along. And this is not his actual side deck. I just wanted to talk about these cards because if you're interested in building this deck and you don't have some of these cards, we can kind of talk about them. So let's jump right into it. So first off, double Lava Golem. This basically gets rid of problematic cards, things like Star Eater. Star Eater, man, this card just pretty much wrecks Swift Scarecrow and other cards. But yeah, Star Eater can really ruin your day. So Lava Golem is there to hopefully prevent that from happening. Next up, we have a random tech Snipe Hunter, just to get rid of perhaps problematic cards. Perhaps just be able to get that direct attack in to make a game sometimes is kind of useful. He's got, 1500 attack is definitely not bad. Next up, he's just playing 2 Nurse. Then he's got 3 Card D and 3 Swift Scarecrow, and that's going to run it off for our monster count. But as far as our spells, we got one day of peace, 3 Upstart Goblins, 2 Potted Dualities. I don't know why you wouldn't want to play 3. Press because of Lava Golem. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't want to play 3 of these. But it can technically hurt you in one sense, because if you add the card with Duality, then you set it, then they're going to know what card you just set, and they can end phase Space Typhoon. But if you're going to play it correctly, just set a bunch of cards at the same time, then they won't know which card you added with Duality. Next up, we have 2 Space Typhoon, 2 Life Equalizer, which I think is a fantastic card, because if you're able to activate certain other cards, like for example Reign of Mercy would be an excellent card to combo with the Life Equalizer, because it makes so you're going to be healing by 1000 and your opponent takes 1000 life points of damage when you have bad reaction now. So that'll set the difference between 2000 immediately right there. And if you happen to have like other Reign of Mercies, that's 4000 right there. Like, it just gets really fast, and then you can just go Life Equalizer, both our life points to 3000. Bam, activate 1 gift card or 1 out of 3, and bam, you're good to go, and you just win the game just because of those 2 cards. Obviously, you still have to have, something to reverse the damage if you activate something like this. But nonetheless, pretty insane card. Next up, 3 Threatening Roars, 3 Reckless Greeds, 3 gift cards, 2 Try and Guess, or 1 out of 3 if you're in the OCG. I think that's the translation. Then he's playing 2 of these. Trap of Darkness, you have to pay 1000 life points while you have 3000 life points or less. Select a normal trap card in your graveyard. This card's effect is the same as that trap card. Remove play that normal trap card, which is kind of interesting, because I was like, you know what, you can kind of abuse Reckless Greed even harder, because if you don't have that draw phase, well, who cares, you're just gonna activate that. And I think that is kind of super dirty. Plus, and it has a lot of utility. You can be like, well, you know what, I want a Threatening Roar right now, maybe I want to activate this for game, maybe I want to have it be something else. Remember, it has to be a normal trap card, so it can't be something for example like this, or like Wall of Revealing Light. But nonetheless, not bad. I mean, even caught Hope for Escape, which is the next card that he's playing, which allows him to pay 1000 life points, and also you have to activate only if your life points are at least 1000 higher than your opponent's life points are 1000 higher than yours. You pay 1000, you draw 1 card for every 2000 life points difference between your life points and your opponent's, and then obviously you can go Life Equalizer, and then bam, you're at the same amount of life points, and you just win from there, because you're going to draw so many cards with this deck. It's just, this in combination with this is just, this is crazy. This draw power is crazy. So it basically, I guess you can kind of consider his more of a turbo build, but there are other ways to play the deck. It's the same win condition though. Just burn your opponent and make them as angry as possible. Then he's got 1 Wall of Revealing Light, so you can just go pay as much as you want, then bam, Life Equalizer, and then if you have bad reaction or Nurse, bam, that's just another way just to have a win condition. Very simple. And lastly, for traps, we have 2 Bad Reaction to Samochi. Also with this card, guys, you're going to activate it. Obviously, you don't want to pay 7000, because sometimes your opponent just might make a cowboy and hit you twice. So keep that in mind as well. I'd say the optimal number is probably about 3000 with this thing. I wouldn't pay 4. I think 3 is optimal, unless of course you happen to have something like Life Equalizer, like you want to do something and you need a specific amount of life points to to like draw the certain amount of cards that you might need to actually finish off the game, or draw as many cards as possible. But for the most part, if you're just trying to stop attacks, 3,000 is probably the optimal number. And then as far as this extra deck, you don't need anything, and everything is useless, but you do need an extra deck because you need it for the try and guess. And you also probably want fusion monsters because everyone plays XYZs or synchros, so you just go ahead and call a fusion in case you're going to lose and you just need to heal up and you don't want to lose because of that. So that, I mean, it can technically heal you for 3,000, but more than likely what you're going to use it for is just to burn your opponent. You're going to call XYZ and then you're going to have no XYZ, so they're going to heal for 3,000, which actually turns into a burn for 3,000 with Nurse on board. Other cards I wanted to mention, oh, I need to put this card over here. Paths of Destiny is really, really good in this deck, I would say. I love this card. This card opens up so many sacky plays. There's a play where I accidentally heal my opponent for like 4,000 life points, but I win anyways because I sack him super hard with Paths of Destiny. So you guys can check that video if you want in the description box below because it's absolutely crazy. I misplayed super hard and I ended up giving him so much extra life points, and Paths of Destiny was just, it was super clutch. So if you guys want to actually try out this deck and maybe you don't happen to have some of these cards, I would say a lot of players like to play these troll decks in real life. You don't see them as much on like Dueling Network as I would say in real life. Every time you play it in a tournament, there's always a few players that love to troll and play this deck. So if you maybe don't happen to have some of these cards, I know Nurse is kind of expensive, maybe you only have like 1 or 2 Nurse, hey, go ahead and bump up the count of Bad Reaction to Samochi to 3. This card's a common. Yeah, it's common. I think it only comes common. Other great cards are also Soul Taker. I like this. It gets rid of a monster and you gain 1,000 life points. Another great card is Magic Cylinder because Nurse doesn't stay on board for too long. A lot of times she just dies instantly. And I figured, you know, Magic Cylinder, not only am I able to protect that Nurse, but I'm also able to deal a bunch of damage to my opponent. So that's good in that aspect. And you could, if you want to, you could play 3 1 out of 3s. I think this card is fantastic. He decided to go for the 2 and 2 for the reverse burn. I think it's much more effective to go for 3 and 3 because if you don't draw them, I mean, if you've played this deck, sometimes you just don't draw the Nurse or you don't draw this, and then you have like all your cards do nothing. I mean, I know Threatening Roar can protect you, but like basically your opponent's just gonna get a bunch of stuff on board. And Torrential Tribute is also a fantastic card because once your opponent tries to overextend, even a card like Needle Sealing, let me go and show you this card. Needle Sealing. So when there are 4 more monsters on the field, you destroy all face-up monsters. Fantastic card in this deck as well, because your opponent's going to want to play really aggressive because they don't want to risk you drawing into those multiple gift cards and then finishing off the game. Or maybe you just need that bad reaction, or you just need that Nurse and you have like 5 back row. They're going to be real scared, so what they're going to do is they're going to try to push as hard as possible. Heck, even Mirror Force can be an excellent card in this deck because your opponent is going to want to overextend because they're kind of forced to, because if they don't, they know they're going to lose. Also, Rain of Mercy, going back to that card Life Equalizer, what you usually use this for is because you're going to have a lot lower life points than your opponent, but you can actually reverse that and make it so you have more life points than your opponent, and then you're just going to put them instantly at 3,000 if that's possible. I don't know if you can heal for that much, but you know, Rain of Mercy is not a bad card. I just figured it was just there to mention. I would say, if anything, I highly recommend Magic Cylinder. I mean, this card's also, it can be used technically with Life Equalizer. You can just kind of make them put themselves at really low life points. But yeah, just be on the lookout for Star Eater. That is one thing that would ruin Swift Scarecrow, because I figured that was kind of important. Because if a deck makes Star Eater, yeah, Swift Scarecrow, don't activate Swift Scarecrow. Wait until you can perhaps get rid of that. Whether it be with that Snipe Hunter, or if you want to tech something else in the game to get rid of that, like a Soul Taker, which is a fantastic card as well. And the off chance you run into like a you know, Rabbit deck that happens to pull out Logia, Soul Taker is just going to be much more beneficial for you, because getting rid of that Logia is very important, because they're going to stop you from activating this, and then you kind of will lose. But yeah, so the deck actually won Originals, which eventually I think you know, if players start playing this, honestly, this deck could easily top a YCS. It's just because I don't think a lot of players really enjoy the playstyle of it. And hey, I don't blame, you know, I used to jump into the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I hated playing Burn, but now I'm all about the innovative and interesting ways to play. And with Life Equalizer, I really feel like some certain decks, if you just open up well enough, heck, you can just go ahead and activate Wall of Revealing Light, pay a bunch of life points, Life Equalizer, and if you happen to have that Nurse on board, or the bad reaction to Samochi, you can activate something like a gift card, or you can activate something like Try and Guess. I hate the name of this this card. But yeah, that's just that's like a one hit. That's a one shot. That's a DSR 50 in the game. But yeah, if you guys have any suggestions for this deck, hey, let someone know, because I want to see this deck top YCS, just because I don't know if a burn deck has ever got first place, unless you count Frog FTK, which is pretty much burn anyway, to be realistic. But that deck was on some next level stuff. That was a super consistent deck. But yeah, like I said, if you have any suggestions for this deck or any other ways we can abuse this card even harder, because I feel like this card is super crazy. Like, I don't understand why he wouldn't want to play 3, perhaps just because if you draw both balls, it can become cloggy. But yeah, I think this card is insane. I want to try this deck out in the future perhaps, but as a lot of players hate burn, yeah, I understand. I feel you on that. Don't worry about it. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Asian Eyes signing out.